What's up, Blue Collar Millionaires? Back again on our Tuesday Live. Today we have my friend Stratton Brown. He's a deal maker, family alumni. Stratton, thank you for coming on. Tell us about your story and how you got started from college football player to real estate investor and everything you got going on.
Oh yeah, well, thank you guys so much for having me on. I met Chris first. Chris, did we meet on the jet?
Yeah, we did on the jet.
Yeah. Well, you went out to Salt Lake, and I was talking to Mark, and he was like, "Bro, come out to Salt Lake. I'm going out for like Waylon's event," and that was when I thought I was going like a fucking clan meeting.
I've not been to one of to one of those yet, but yeah, it's.
But it was a really good event. Sean is an amazing marketer. Everybody looks like Sean. As we're like going out and growing brands, I look at Sean and like, how can I build a tribe like that? Because he's done a really, really good job of building a tribe. But where did I get started? So I played in high school. I was All-American in rugby, like All-State in football, All-State in track. I had a scholarship in 3 different sports coming out of high school for track, rugby, and football. That was like my first decision of like betting on myself, right? And so I took my junior college scholarship instead of taking my full ride track scholarship or I had a partial rugby because I wanted to go like play D1, right? Like you grow up watching TV, and like I remember just watching Saturday nights like college football recap and looking at that like, man, I'm gonna be on that shit one day, right? Like my entire life, like that's what I wanted. I wanted to make that. And so I went to a junior college because I was like, well, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to start. And so a school came in, offered me a partial called Weber State. And then they had a full ride offered to the dude at Snow. And I went in and I beat out the dude who they had a full ride with. And I told him to fuck off because they wanted to disrespect me like that. And then eventually from there, I was pretty good at Snow, had an offer to Utah, like Washington, Oregon State, and Fresno State. But at that point in time, me and my roommates used to partake in quite a bit of vitamins, let's say. And so the cops raided my apartment when I was at practice one time because one of my roommates was selling drugs, just selling pot. And this isn't like a small town. It's the like largest turkey farm in America.
Wow.
And they took all the cash, all the weed. I thought I was going to have to go to court. And then essentially they just took all the cash and all the weed and left and like didn't do anything else. But at that point in time, I was like, man, I better get the fuck out of here. And Fresno State called. Utah had given me an offer, but like, you got to wait a semester. And I was like, man, I'm not going to last down here another semester. I'm just going to get in trouble. And at that point in time, Fresno State was ranked like 15th in the country. And so I went and played there. I played corner and safety there. Didn't really play a whole lot my first couple of years. My senior year, I was all conference, 17th in the country in tackles, went as a free agent to the Seahawks. Wow. Nothing really came from it. And then while I was on my way to the Seahawks and everything else, like I was like, well, I partied a lot, right? Like I like to have a good time.
You were young.
Like I was young, right? Like I was young, invincible, right? You're full of testosterone. And I was like, so if I'm going to make it to the league, bro, I'm not going to end up on broke. Like I'm going to learn how to invest my money. And I really want to live like a crazy lifestyle, but I have to protect myself for myself was the best way I could put it. So I started reading like a bunch of Grant Cardone, Bigger Pockets, Dave Ramsey, Think and Grow Rich, like just going through all these books. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make all this money. I can invest some and then I can just go fuck off some of it. But at least at the end of it, I'm still secure. And I got to live a life that only 1,000 people in a year ever get to live. Like that was my mentality going into that. And then I go to the Seahawks and absolutely nothing came from it. Absolutely nothing. I came back more broke and I was like, Jesus Christ. I tried for like 6 more months, but it's a cold reality when you're not good enough. Like the NFL is a wild place. And don't get me wrong, like I wasn't a bum in college, but the NFL is a wild place. Like it is really, really talented people. And my coach, in college, who was my D coordinator and a really good mentor of mine, when I was coming out, I kind of knew what to expect. He put out 7 different first-round draft picks at DB over the years, and he coached Davian Clowney and Melvin Gordon, D'Angelo Hall. Like he's like coached some really, really big names. And he was like, Strat, like you'll be like a teams guy and a practice squad guy. And he was like the only person who I could take feedback from because I knew he had my best interest at hand and it wasn't biased, right? Because like some people won't be real with you, or maybe they're just an asshole. And he was like, so bro, like it'll be a tough road. I think you'll get a good couple of years out of it. He's like, but Strat, like you're not gonna be a Hall of Famer, dude. And you could take that and like put a chip on your shoulder and go for it, or you can still. That's the only. You have to be very, very real and self-aware in sports, or else you'll just get eaten alive in the first place. And so, like, I tried to develop that because I wasn't the fastest. The only reason I was ever good is because I just watched more film than everybody else. And so, like, I could just like see the formation, call the play, go make the play, go make the tackle, go get the pick, and do it that way. And so I trusted him. And so when that time came with the Seahawks, I was like, man, all right. And I went home. I had a pregnant girlfriend at the time, and I started to just go to different meetups, talking to people. I was like, yeah, man, like I'm going to go start buying houses, everything else. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't really know about wholesaling. And I met a dude named Alan Folio. He was in the DM family at the time, I believe. And he was like, yeah, man, a couple years ago, I used to drive a tractor and make 30 grand a year. And now I make $200,000 a month. And like, I'd never even, growing up, my parents were entrepreneurs, but not once did we talk about money besides that, like there wasn't enough money. And my mom would fucking complain to me saying that my sports stuff cost too much money. So I got a job. You know what I'm saying? And so all that happens. And then now I'm talking to this guy. He's like, yeah, well, now I own 70 units. I'm going to buy a jet. And like, this conversation is the only time I've ever heard anybody ever speak in that type of way, with that type of confidence, and even have that type of goals, to where I have a very, very, majority of my family members on both sides of my family are entrepreneurs, but they're blue collar entrepreneurs would be the best way. Like landscaping, electrical, contracting, and then my best friend's dad owns a significantly large construction company. And so like I was always around trades and different types of entrepreneurship, but we never really talked about money. At that point in time, I'd started a home inspection business. I went and did a mock home inspection. Went in there, freaked the fuck out in the crawl space. I was like, I'm never doing this shit again. Not once. Like, I'm over it. And so I knew the blue collar lifestyle wasn't necessarily for me. And so then from there, I give Alan a call. I'm like, bro, what the hell do you do? Like, because I just talked to him in passing. You know, like I was just talking to him after a meetup, and he was just kind of giving me game. And then eventually he was like, yeah, bro, so go download this app and go knock all these doors. And this was just a bunch of different pre-foreclosures. And so at that point in time, I started knocking doors up until like dusk till dawn. And my girlfriend thought I was cheating on her because I just wake up and leave. And then I'd come home at night, and then I'd just do it all over again. And I did that until I got a deal. And then when my son was born, I kept doing the same thing, and I just carry him around. And at that point, I was a single dad. And so it was me and my son. I call him the butt. Me and the butt just rolling around, and I just had him in his little baby carrier, and I'd keep going and knocking on doors, or I'd go on a walk and I'd just cold call. And I live, a park is probably a quarter mile away from my house. It's like 500 acres. And so I would go and I'd push my son in a stroller, and I'd use Mojo on the go, and I'd just cold call the whole time as I'm pushing him around, because that would be the only time he'd stop crying.
Man, dude, I love the dedication. So you're go back, because you're scooting over this mental fortitude on this door knocking. I mean, that's not easily done. So you pulled a foreclosure list and you just started going to these doors knocking to see if they were interested in selling. Yeah,
I didn't. Alan was more. He's the same mentality as me. He was like, hey, bro, here's what to say. Call me like when anybody like bites. And so he just kind of threw me out there, and I was like, how many doors I gotta knock? He's like, you gotta knock at least like 5. You gotta talk to 500 people to get a deal. And so I was like, okay, you know. And like, I grew up working really hard. I mean, I grew up on like a semi like ranch, right? Like on an acre with horses, a cow, chickens. And then my best friend's family owns a really large construction company. And so after practice, all we do is just fucking shit work, honestly. Like all the work that none of the workers wanted to do, we'd have to go like clean rentals or do some bullshit. And so I was like, yeah, it's hard work. Like it's what you do. And I'd say my only good talent is talking to people and being able to have a conversation with another human that I've been born with. Like I'm not extremely smart or anything else like that. And so that's what I did. And I didn't really have any other options, bro. Coming out of college, I ended up dropping out of college eventually. But like, bro, I didn't have any fucking skills. Like you go to college to play football. They tell you you're going to get a free education, bro. You're at a fucking state school. Fresno State education is worth dog shit. You know, like unless it's in like agricultural, like unless it's a very specified degree, bro. My degree was in communication. I was gonna have to go do fucking sales anyways, you know. And so
I got two things. When you were talking about sports, I think it's real. I love what you're saying. That, and this, you can apply this to business. In sports, there's limits to like what your physical you can do. Like you were super fast. You were all state, and then you said later you weren't that fast because what, in comparison to some of these guys running 4.25s or 4.3s, you didn't feel like it. That's what I always say. I got a stepson. I say the guy that you're in awe of at your high school, who's running like. He's going to go to college, and then he's going to be in awe of other people. And then those guys are going to be in awe of, and there's levels to this. And you have to, I know, because when I was 16, the same thing, I thought I was like the shit in basketball. And I went against two different kids in this AAU thing, and both of them were busting my ass. So I said to my dad, who was really knowledgeable about where people were going to college, I'm like, where's he going? Like Duke or North Carolina? And my dad's like, no. Like he names us like nothing school. And I was like, holy shit, he was like, no, they're not, he's not even being recruited hard. It was such, like, you need to know that. But with business, you could be anything. You can just keep going. Like there's no limits to, it doesn't matter how fast, your size, even how smart you are. You could just keep going and accumulating knowledge and doing everything.
That's what I love about business. Like there's no cap on what I can do.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
And then you got the borrowed belief from this guy. I'd never heard of him. He was in the Deal Maker, I guess. And yeah, you see it. And then once you see it, you can't unsee it. Everybody, Chris, you probably did the same thing. You had a conversation with one person, because I never grew up talking to anybody talk like that.
Yeah.
Ever.
And they'll look at you like $100,000 or whatever you thought was big is like $100,000 a year. They're like, that would be a bad month for them. All of a sudden you can't unsee it after that.
That's why it's so important to get in the rooms with people that are way beyond you. I mean, that's literally so Strat, when we saw each other on that jet, I already had a plane ticket to Orlando from Memphis, Tennessee, which is right 2-hour drive from me. That's the biggest airport from where I live, to get to Tim's event. Mark puts on, hey, get on the jet. And I'm thinking proximity. I need to get around these kind of people because they think differently. They move differently. That's why they get different results. I fly the opposite direction of Orlando, up to Ohio, redirect my flight to get on another plane, that private jet, to fly down to where my original destination was. But it put me in a proximity, and now here I am roughly, how long ago was that? A year and a half ago? Maybe
that was like a year and a half.
Yeah. So now Mark's a part of Blue Collar Millionaire with me and Kevin. And that's my first time to ever meet Mark then. But you get in proximity, and the first time on a private jet, it just changes your whole train of thought. I love how you were like, man, I've never heard anything like this. Go buy a private jet, have this real estate. It was nothing to them.
I like what you said, Chris. It's so true that the relationships go really fast. It doesn't necessarily happen the first time. So don't go to one thing and think, hey, well, I didn't even talk to Mark Evans. What are these guys talking about? You get in these groups and you get around them. Yeah. I was watching Mark Evans speak at Tim Brotz's event. And now, of course, we're friends with Tim. Mark's a part. It's just weird how it goes. It happens in like a couple years.
Quick.
It happens quick. So what got you in the Deal Maker? And the other question I want to know is, how did you know to read like Think and Grow Rich? You're like a college kid who's just trying to get in the NFL. What made you think like that?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I was just like Googling shit, right? And so like I had read a lot of books growing up. Like I read a lot of anime. Like I'll still read anime now. I read like the Twilight series in middle school. What else? Like I had a bunch of books I was reading in elementary school. And so like I was never afraid of reading. So I just like grew up reading. And then I just wanted to learn, right? And that was like the only thing I could do. I think YouTube was bigger at that time, but like podcasts and reading were the way to go. And my parents read a lot, I would say. I mean, my dad is a fucking hardcore conservative dude. I'll call him a boomer, right? But he has an entire, he has like a miniature library of books, and both my parents do, of like different books on certain things. I'm adopted, so my parents have like 9 different books on adoption, parenting. Like you can go in there, they're Mormon. They have like hundreds of different Mormon books, right? Of just like on their faith and whatever else. And so like I saw them reading a lot, I guess. And like my parents have an office, and I grew up, I'd say like middle class. And so I was exposed to a lot of like reading if I want to learn something. And then Alan like really, really got big with me on, he's like, bro, you need to read Think and Grow Rich again. And then Bob Proctor from like the vibration stuff and like the energy and the mindset. Now I'm still big with that, with like Dr. Joe Dispenza and everything else.
Would you say Alan was your mentor?
Oh, 100%. Alan Folio changed my life. I would have figured it out without Alan, but it would have taken me significantly longer.
So
tell us about how that worked.
So I worked for Alan for about a year and a half, and either me and Zeno were with him, or me and Zeno were at home. And so like me and Zeno were with him every day. Like I was with him like Monday through Sunday. It didn't matter what. Like we'd throw Zeno in the back of the car, we'd be driving around, read anything else. And like Alan was like my first real mentor who showed me about business, showed me about mindset, who showed me how to be professional. Like one time I got off a phone with a 8-year-old dude. Was like, all right, man, I'll talk to you soon. He's like, Strat, bro, we cannot talk to old people like that. He's like, we got to like keep up a professional thing, right? But like, I'd never think about that. Again, I'm just brand new, just played football, and I'm just talking to humans, right? And so Alan showed me so much on, I got an MBA in real estate. And at a point, I was like helping him run a lot of the day-to-day, like with the marketing. We built out like an in-house call center, hiring on a bunch of like damn near homeless people to make phone calls for us. Like we were doing a whole bunch of stuff. And so I got an MBA in real estate, and I'd say an MBA in business. I ended up dropping out of college just because I was like, well, I could not take my son to school. Like at this point, it was me and Zeno. His mom wasn't really around as much. And so I'd have to take my son to school, and it was just embarrassing. You know, like it was just a pain in the ass. Like he'd be crying. I'd be fucking moving his little stroller in the middle of the classroom. And then because I'm out here and my parents are in Utah, his mom was out here, but her parents are in Baltimore. And so it was really like there was nobody else to really help us besides my friends, and my friends had to go to class too.
Wow.
And so I was like, you know what, bro, I can take my son to work where I'm making money. I have a job that I already want to get, and I'm going to make more money than I would even if I finished college. Like, why would I continue going here? And so then I eventually just ended up dropping out. There's a whole bunch of crazy stuff with Fresno State holding my checks because I had scholarship checks, but they're like, bro, you're going to fail out all your classes. We're not going to pay you. So I had to go figure out a way to make money there. And like they were rightful to hold my money because, yes, I was going to fail my classes because I just ended up working more. And so then when I started working for Alan, then like I ended up like helping to build out a sales team, call center, learning everything, and just being around that vibration, like borrowing. I think it's what you said, Kevin, borrowing belief and being exposed to a different way to think. To where I remember I was having this conversation with him. I was like, bro, you make $100,000 a year passively? I was like, man, you could retire. He was like, Strat, wait till you make $100,000 a year. You know, and like this is me brand new coming out of college. And like that was my goal, was to make $100,000 a year when I first started that home inspection business. And I was like, all right, so I'm going to have to go do this many inspections. Like, I'm going to have to go do all this. And I had it all backed out. And then he's like, nah, bro, that's nothing. And so Alan was by far been the most influential mentor in my life. And as far as like a business sense, I have like my parents, my father's my best friend's father, who have helped me as far as like really hard work mentality, treating people the right way. And then like different coaches, but Alan, DM, and then some other people along the way.
So where are you at? All right. You got your training from the mentor, and you picked up some more mentors along the way. So where are you at today? What are you involved in, and what are you seeing is bringing you financial success?
What am I involved in? So we have like our wholesale coaching program. Then we have our employee retention credit marketing business. I'd say that's what I'm most excited about. That one will make me by far.
How long you been doing the ERC?
I started taking it seriously in like September. I should have taken it seriously.
Are you doing that with Mark Andrew?
I'm doing so I'm doing it with Mark Andrew. At this point, bro, I'm running into an issue where I need just more qualified people, and I own a VA company, right? But right now I'm hiring on like 9 people a week to try and like get the people I want in that company. And so we'll probably be up to, the goal is if I can get up to like 20 callers, I'll be solid. And right now I believe we're at 9.
And you're using virtual assistants calling like people in the Philippines or who? It doesn't really matter.
One of our sales reps is in the Philippines. One of our callers who's a savage is in the Philippines. The rest of the people are scattered across South America.
I do the same. Yeah, it's hard to find them, but when you get one, you gotta.
Right.
But
and
yeah,
so
you gotta go. That's what everybody thinks. Like, yeah, you don't just get the right. It's just like anything hiring here.
Exactly.
It doesn't. It's not first person all the time. You got to go through some. You got to kiss some toads.
Exactly. So we got that one. We still wholesale a little bit. I got to build that one out again, but at this point, our ERC stuff gives me a crazy like ROI to where the wholesaling is kind of on the back burner, and it'll probably be on the back burner for the next couple years. And if at the end of like the ERC stuff, I want to go back to it, I will. And then we have like our self-storage portfolio. We own some rentals. I don't think we have anything else going on.
On the ERC, are you doing the affiliate, or are you building your own company out to process it?
No, just affiliates, bro.
Okay.
I don't want that headache. Like even scaling up the affiliate side, bro, is enough. And Josh over at ERC, they have a great back end. Right. Yeah, we do have like little bullshit problems that we bitch about, but I mean they're a legit company and they're amazing and credible. And I would not want to deal with the issues they have to deal with. Like they have to talk to the FBI.
Yeah.
The ERC, we had Josh on, but just so people know, like it's crazy how much money they're giving away. People think it's like they don't think it's real, right? Because I've talked to people. So Chris, after we had Josh went on, I had 2 companies I got approved for 27 on one and like 54 on the other.
It's real money. I
was so mad at myself. It's going through now, getting these emails. I'm like, why didn't I do that?
Yep.
I don't
know. You didn't have somebody stand in front of you and said, hey, I did this and I got money. You should try it.
When you told me that you got the money, I don't know. You know what I thought it was? It was almost like when people were getting like the COVID checks and everything. Yep. I wasn't getting anything because you have to be under a certain. And I was like, yeah, they're not going to give it to me. My business grew and all these other things. No, everybody should be trying that. It's so easy. You just have to apply. You have no idea what the money that government's giving. And then I had another thing like, I don't need it and all this other shit. Whatever. You've been paying tax your whole life.
Absolutely.
You deserve it.
Exactly. But you deserve it. Because we cold call primarily for it. And a lot of people, I don't want that dirty government money. Like, bro, it's just a tax. And like, it's from your payroll taxes you paid last year. Just take the money. All right.
Exactly. It's just
my argument is, do you feel like you can disperse that money better or someone else? Because it's going to someone, you might as well take it because you are going to be able to utilize it better than with the other person, more than likely, especially the people within our group and tribe. I mean, we're constantly doing self-development and trying to raise our skill level up in every manner. So by far, we should be able to be better stewards of this money that's being given by the government than someone else that's over here just going to, waste it away. I forgot who somebody said, it's been said several times, but like if you gave all the money, dispersed it evenly, it would end up back into the same hands that it was before because they know how to manage, they know how to utilize it. The others don't. And that's my whole argument on that thing. Make sure you're the one getting the money because you're going to utilize it better.
I love that way, Chris. One guy I said, because he had 4 employees, I said, if I told you where to go get $100,000 line of credit, would you? And I said, you're probably likely to get approved. Would you do it? He said, of course. I said, how about a line of credit where you don't pay it back? That's what this is.
That's exactly what that is.
Wait, what? So he's doing it. I mean, that's how anybody wants a line of credit for $100,000 if they feel like they're going to get approved. Sure, I'll stack it up. How about you don't even have to pay it back?
Yeah.
So I think that's great. I've seen so many real estate guys and wholesaler guys, they had the skill set and now they're applying it to this. That's the great thing about business is your skill set just rolls forward into other things.
Exactly.
If you took a guy and you said, hey, you're going to do this ERC thing, not that they can't do it, but there would be such a hard learning curve. That's why Chris and I teach about with Mark in the war room about buying businesses. The same guys who can wholesale houses and buy real estate. They have the skill set. We're watching Matt Murphy and guys do it right now in our group. That they're just ready to go. they don't have to relearn anything. The skill set just keeps going forward. I love it.
So what's your moves in 2023?
What am I?
What's kind of like your you said ERC, that's got your focus right now. Is there anything else? Because ERC, it's going to be over after this year, right?
I have until 2025.
Okay. So you can amend tax returns that far. Okay.
Yeah, I have until 2025 to make a fuck ton of money. Then we have, I'd say, growing the storage portfolio. I'd like to hit like 250,000 square feet, 300,000 square feet by the end of the year is what I'm going for. And that's where I was saying, like, I got to buy some bigger ones, not these little dinky ones. Growing the storage portfolio, ERC, growing the coaching program. And then, like, we do throw like these decently sized events from like 300 to 600 people biannually, quarterly. And so we got another one coming up on May 13th. I think that one will be like 400 people is what we're shooting for.
And what happens at the event? What's that about?
Really, bro, we don't sell anything. It's like $100 a ticket, and we show them just different ways to make money in real estate. And we bring in like some of the biggest names and influencers and just have them come share game. Like, so how are you? This one is recession dominations. Like, how are you dominating the recession as here? And so, like, what are you doing to dominate the recession? So for me, like, yeah, we made a really, really hard pivot out of wholesaling. Yeah. And we started to do storage and ERC, and all the storage is owner financed. Like, we're not dealing with any banks. Like, we're just 100% owner financed with the owners. And then with the ERC stuff, it's like you said, Kev, it's the same skill set that I have from our virtual assistant company. And I guess that's the other company that we own, our virtual assistant company, and from wholesaling. And then it's like, okay, bro, so we see it's the exact same model essentially. Now we just pivot it. And now from going from a 5x ROI, we go to like a 30 to a 50x ROI. Like, it's a no-brainer, you know?
Winners win. That's why you keep winning. And that's the pivot. That's what Chris and I are watching that. So many people, that's what we're talking about going in the ERC. They're around the right people. They see opportunity, and then they just pivot.
Yep.
That's how it always goes. But you were getting wins young from sports. That matters. Yep. That's why I got like young stepchildren, you know, and they're teenagers, and they're doing track now. And my youngest she's kicking ass. She's like hawking kids down on the relay.
Hell yeah.
I'm getting her in speed camp. I love I'm watching her confidence because she's getting these wins. And it's just going to go into other stuff. Are you going to run in the Olympics? No. Are you going to like turn this into something else? That's what you want. I love watching people, the same people, just like Chris, you were just saying this, the money will go back to the same people. The same people win. One thing changes. It's how we look at the recession. I just wrote a post on this. I'm going in harder. Not too many people get scared. They think, oh, everything's gonna, you know, the economy's changing, all this. Good. There's opportunity. You can buy storage units with seller financing. I did the same thing. Things are going to change, and there's opportunity if you're ready and you're looking. And if you're scared and you bitch up, then you won't find anything.
Well, now especially in your guys' space. Like, I want to overall goal, I want to start doing what you're doing, but you can only chase so many rabbits at a time, right?
Right.
But like, I want to go like private equity style, and like, why not just roll all these up? I mean, there's such a massive opportunity. Why not just pick a niche, roll them up, and sell it?
Yeah.
They're already there. You don't have to go do a ton of building. Yeah, you need to learn a little bit more about finance, but bro, that's an easy path to at least 100 million.
I agree. And yeah, the roll up is when you sit there and you just I think what opened my eyes up to that is when I heard about a pest control company going into a public offering when they announced their IPO, and they got a 15x, I think is what it was. Damn. I was like, you got a 15x on your EBITDA on a pest control company, but it's because it was so massive that big money was interested in it, and they just went around and just bought one after another, plugged in the same processes and systems, and now they've got such a footprint. They're able to purchase everything at discount. Their marketing is at discount. Like, the resources change when you get in a big footprint like that. That's why the big money's interested in it. Yeah, roll those jokers up and then take it to the market and let the big money give you a wonderful payday.
Yeah, I think what you guys are doing is like the place to be right now. And like Kevin, like you said, nobody texts me about my fucking businesses. Everybody texts me about these goddamn houses.
That's it, man. It's an untapped resource right now.
I get so many messages because of this and just putting out a little content. And I think it's almost becoming a little sexy now. Buy business is this idea. But I mean, it's absolutely true. You can go buy a business for $1.5 million, get a steal on it. You see opportunity to grow that, grow it for a couple of years and exit it and pocket $1 million plus. It can happen. That's not even difficult.
My biggest concern is
it's not. Yeah. When I look at difficult, I think of like getting up and working a job and trying to save 15% after taxes and everything. Like you could do that for 5 years and have $52,000. Like nothing changed.
Yep.
I mean, I don't want to shit on that, but like nothing changed in your life. You could wipe that away with 1 year, like a college for your kid. Like I need bigger numbers. You could think of probably all the people in your class when you were in school and you left. What are they? A lot of them are working jobs right now.
I would say to that respect, the people who I thought were going to be successful and start crushing it did. Like the mentality carries over, the way they carry themselves carries over. And then they went out. Some of the people ended up working jobs, but the people who I thought would go out and crush, they went out and are in like a sales role or an entrepreneurship role, right? To where they're going out now. They're like, one of my friends is an industrial broker. He's crushing it, right? Another guy is in ag sales, crushing it. All in that same respect.
Sales is the only path I can think of that you can go make a ton of money without a degree, unless you are a business owner. If you're not, and most of the time you find out that the entrepreneurs have a lot of salesmanship. Just kind of goes hand in hand. I remember back when I was young on my first marriage, I was like, look, I don't have an education degree to go get a good paying job, stay at home mom with 2 kids to support them and be the breadwinner. I was like, I have to stay in sales. And I went to a sales dealership to sell cars because I was like, I know I can make money in sales. It's based off performance. And that I think that's an amazing skill set to have. And it's like you said in the beginning of this interview, you said, dude, I know how to talk well. And if you can communicate with humans, then you can sell, because you don't have to have a whole lot of skill set. It's just about building relationship, building rapport, and then leading them to what they already want.
About 100%.
That's so true. Sales is everything. How you meet your girlfriend or wife, everything. Sales. When I see a guy who's regular looking guy with a beautiful girl, I know he's a salesman. That guy, if he's not making a ton of money, he can just apply it.
Yeah. But when I was single, all I saw women was, and like I was like, when you talk to girls, bro, it's just sales. It's a numbers game. What are you gonna do? Like, let's go to the bar. We got to talk to X amount of girls. Yeah. Right. But then it was like every time I got better. Like, as stupid as that sounds, like it's more reps, more repetitions, and then you just apply that to everything else. Whatever else you're doing, you go, you know what? I want to pivot to, if you're a wholesaler, I want to pivot to ERC, bro. Just go take 100 calls. You'll have it down pat, and it's just like that. More reps, and now we're moving again.
It's so simplistic when you say it like that, because it is.
Yeah. People don't want to do, like, I don't know why people are so scared to make those calls and everything. That's just go direct to it. Like I always said, when people ask me, how do you get all these complexes? How do you do that? Like they want to ask me, like, what do you do? Facebook ads? I'm like, no, bro, just call. Bro. Just call 100 of them. You know how many people are going to say, yeah, you can bid on this? And then make a really good bid that looks good and take your time with it. Don't send some cheap shit one-page thing.
Yep.
Like get into it. And they're like, that's it? You just, yes. I used to walk in and call. That's it. You can email, whatever. Get them going. Forget all this SEO and Facebook. Not that this stuff doesn't work, but like just go direct to it.
Yeah. Oh, and same thing with business.
If you want to buy a business, if you want to buy a landscaping business, go on Google. You don't need this whole database. Find 30 landscapers, call 30 landscapers. Somebody's going to be interested. I guarantee you. It's not that hard.
What have you guys done to develop your leadership skills? I think
trial
that's
and
the
error.
Second most important one.
Trial and error, yeah.
read a lot of books. It's like what you said, just taking in a lot of content, watching what other successful folks are doing, and then just time. You can't cheat time. Time's going to have to be a part of your development process, but you can expedite some time by gathering information from others. So, little techniques like reading Traction, learning the entrepreneurial operating system. That taught me how to be a better leader by structuring things and not overloading individuals with tasks to do. How to paint a vision instead of handing over tasks to hand over expectations. Little things like that you just pick up along the way. But if you're not taking in new information, then you're living in your own ecosystem and nothing ever comes in. I kind of relate it to your HVAC system in your house. When you build your house, everything's built kind of weather tight, weather resistant at this point. So your HVAC system's just recirculating air. If you never open up your windows, you're never getting new air in. So if you've got dirty air, it's just moving through the house constantly when that system kicks on. But when you when you open up a window, when you read a book, you're letting new information in, new air in. Now you're going to start mixing it and the air is getting a different smell, a different cleanliness, whatever. And that's why we have to get ourselves out of the box into a different atmosphere so that we can take in new information so that our minds can be expanded. We have new perspectives at that point, and then we become better leaders. We become better fathers, better business owners, whatever it is in your life that you're taking in. That's how I got there. I'm sure Kevin says the same thing.
Yeah. I learned a lot in trial and error. I've been doing this for so long, but my first business, I definitely wasn't a good leader. I'll give you a sports analogy. You got to be a point guard, and you got to be the type of point guard that hands out like 14 assists and only gets like 12 points. And when I was starting, I was trying to get 30, and I don't really give a shit what I cared what other people were doing, but I wasn't setting them up to win. Yeah. So I mostly would just get on their back. Like, man, I just did 3 lawns. How are you still on this? That's how I used to talk to people. Like, let's go. And they probably, as soon as I left, I knew they did. They were like, fuck this guy. This guy's such an asshole. Yeah. Yep. And I didn't inspire anyone. And it took me to one guy. People do not do this, especially in this day. This is before texting. He came to my door, knocked on the door, and he was a brother-in-law of 2 guys who were working for me. And he said, hey, I'm leaving and I'm working with this other company. It was one of my competitors. And I said, why? What's going on? He goes, I don't want to get in an argument with you, but you're a dick. Like, he said it to me, like, you're just like on my back all the time. And I'm just tired of it. And I remember when he left, I was like, that was pretty ballsy for him to come up and say that.
That's the best thing that probably could ever happen to you, though.
But it hit me. The rest of the night, I'm like, man, I got to change this. So I started after that, it really changed me. I really thought, how do I make other people better? That's what I think about even the VAs. I think I try to listen to them. I talk to them, get to know their personality. And I say, how can I make them successful? And then to like work and be productive. What you do doesn't really matter if you have 15 people doing well. Like, if you're doing calls, you got 20 people. All you care about is that they're doing well in calls. Why are you calling people?
Yep. That was gold. That was gold right there. Say it again. What you do doesn't really matter.
Doesn't really matter. Your job is to make them the best versions of themselves. It's very hard. So when I did gutters and I have 4-man crews, I would tell the leader, you're used to like going, he might've been a number 2 or 3 where he was doing 12, 15 buildings a day, moving real fast. I said, you're going to do less buildings. That's your thing. But you got to help other guys all do 2 or 3, 4 more buildings each. And they would always say, this feels weird. I'm doing less. I'm like, no, you're doing more. You're just physically doing less. You got to help them win. And then that's how we get 40 buildings done. You got to get other guys' things. So it took me a while to do that. And I'm still learning. It's forever, right? We're learning forever. Everybody, I think when you start, you think there's this destination. Like, yeah, if I read like 5 books, I do this for 2 years, I'll be the best leader ever.
Yep.
You're going to learn it till you're 70, 80 years old.
Yep.
And I think leadership, I think the only three skills you really need is leadership. If you master leadership, you can do anything. You don't need any other skills. But leadership, marketing, and then sales. I think marketing is more important than sales, because if you can just market enough, someone will you can not close a paper bag and then someone will buy.
Yeah.
But if you can do those things, you have enough cash coming in to where you can just pay for operations.
Dude, I agree 100%.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that's a very different skill set. We all like marketing and sales, and our energy is not really on operations. Yeah. I get excited about them. We've all done it because you have to do it. But it's easier if you're great at those things, you can pay a big time operator to come in and do it. One other thing I want to say, Stratton, is you getting what was his name? Your mentor? Who helped you? Alan. Chris, I think you'll agree with this. Stratton came in with that energy, and Alan recognized that. He liked talking to you. I'm sure you did many things that made him think this kid's a winner. He's going to do stuff. He's watching you do it. I mean, you're in there with your baby. I mean, that would, like you're a single dad basically, right? Coming to work and making calls and doing mojo. He saw that, and then he reciprocated. And then he told you, go read Think and Grow Rich again. And you probably did it. If you do that for young people who are looking for mentors, you will attract them. They will get behind you. I know I will. But when I tell somebody says, hey, how do I make money, or how do I do this? And I tell them the most basic stuff to do. And then I check back with them in 3 weeks and they haven't done shit. I'm just like, I know they're not going to do anything. You can't even get them to read a book, Chris, right? Like if somebody gets behind something, I have a mentor. This guy just turned 85. He went to Yale and Harvard Business School. He tells me to read a book. I talk to him every Tuesday. The book is done when I talk to him. And he says, like, man, he said, the one thing I like about you, when I tell you something, like, you make it happen. That's why he's mentoring me. Why would he do it otherwise? I get nuggets from this guy. Yeah,
he sees you execute on it. Here's the deal. I mean, I was just having this conversation with my operations manager this morning. Passion sells, and people see passion because it's very rare where you see someone passionate throughout the day. But you do notice it because when you've got a passion about something, people's cadence is different. The way they move, the way they respond, the energy that you feel off of them, there's a different vibe. And Strat, you were carrying your kid. You were passionate to win. It didn't matter what you were doing. You were just passionate to win because that was inbred in you. Some people, they don't have passion to win. It's just, they just want to make it through that day. And I don't understand that. I don't know how to comprehend that, but I'm attracted to anyone that has a passion like that. And I'm willing to give them every resource that they're looking for, because I get fed when I see someone else taking information that I've given and running and having success with it.
That's what we want. That's why we're doing it. As opposed to they take it up. It's essentially like giving them a big plate of food, like really good stuff, and they just threw it in the garbage. That would piss us off. I want to know the guy enjoyed the meal, and he was posting it on Instagram, and he had a big and fun with it. Yeah, you got to do that. Getting a mentor it's so easy. Like, not getting a mentor is easy, but the idea of it. Find somebody who's doing and killing at something you want to do, and then just copy them, emulate them. Like, people want to talk to their brother-in-law at a barbecue. The guy's not doing shit. Like, why are you even asking him anything? I don't know, Chris. I never ask these guys anything. I mean, I don't want to shit on my brother. He's a great guy. I'm not really talking about him, but but I mean, I had buddies, like, they were struggling. I didn't tell them about, hey, I'm building this and that. What for what? What are they going to do?
Right. How did you get around I'll follow you on social media. You've got some really big names and players that you hang out with. How did you cultivate a crowd like that to be in proximity with these winners?
Strip clubs.
Well, there you go, folks.
I mean, legit. I mean, no lie. I mean, a lot of it has been done at strip clubs and like taking people out and drinking with them and having a good time. But I just want to go out and make friends. I'm a degenerate, bro. Like, I really have to keep my degeneracy under control, as far as, like, I just want to go party all the time. And so like when I go and I'm with anybody, I want to go have a good time with someone. Right. And so that's how I've really built my network, built my relationships. Like now I've simmered down. Right.
Yeah.
But like whenever I'm going anywhere, I want to be like the last person to go into the room. And generally, I am not going out and trying to meet everyone. If I go somewhere, I'm like building a relationship with a few people. Right. Because like I can build right relationships with my social media. I can't build deep relationships with my social media. But like really them seeing me on social media is the same as me like going up and like shaking their hand and saying hi. And like that's the same as exchanging a couple DMs. But then us going and kicking it, having a couple drinks. Hey, let's go to the strip club. Hey, what'd you guys do last night? Damn, bro, we're out in Miami. Strat took some mushroom pills. This shit was wild. We came home at 6 a.m. and it was a great time. Right. But like that is a different story. And then like that's a story that they will tell all of their friends for the rest of their life because I took them out and had a great time with them.
Yeah.
And so I'd say as far as that, and then I've paid to go into a lot of masterminds. Like we pay a lot of money to be in the DM family every year. What else? I'd say number one, I pay to get into those groups. And then when I'm in those groups, I try and be very, very present with the people and like sit there and talk to them. Like, no, I'm not taking Kev out to strip clubs, but I will sit there and talk to him because we both got young sons. Right. And so we're going to sit there and we're actually going to have a conversation about it. And then I don't know. People ask me that all the time, but I just want to, and I ask them a lot of questions. Like generally, I'm never talking about what I'm doing because everybody else has a skill set that I don't have, and I want to learn from them. And so the majority of the time, I'm going to ask them a bunch of questions, and then I'm still going to bring them on my podcast so I can ask them more questions. And that's just me being cheap and not having to pay them for their time. But I get to essentially stroke their ego. And I get to pull everything that I want to know out of their business model, the way they think. Okay, like how did you handle this, handle that? And then I can just take all that. I can suck it all in. And then I have, like, look at it. But I have pages and pages and pages of notes. I have different notebooks of me writing stuff down from interviews, writing stuff down from conversations and everything else, to where that's how I've done it over time because I know I'm not the smartest person in the world. And the more I can learn from others, like the better off I am.
Stratton, you did so many things well. The other thing you do is, and we doing it, Chris, but I didn't realize it at the time when we started, but having these interviews with people, I learn a ton from them.
Oh, absolutely.
You become friends with them because you do an hour, but you're also bringing them on a platform to help them. So they get to be the center of attention. Everybody wants to be, right? They want to tell their story. It really works. I didn't really think about how much I was going to learn. And then when you see a person that's been on this show and an event, it's like your buddy because you just did an hour Zoom. So anybody could do that. Stratton happened when I came on your show. We knew each other. We got to know each other more, but I was talking the whole time, So, but I felt like I get off there and like, oh, I know Stratton more. Now you come on this. And when we see each other, it's that much easier. And another good thing you did is he made a bunch of reels for me. I saw him start posting up. Everybody likes that. We try to do too. They come on, do a reel on something, tell VA, hey, if he says something cool, find it. Look at minute 113. Everybody likes a reel of themselves.
And that's a hack. Our team, I don't know if they tagged you on it. I try not to be on my Instagram too much. But then like if you can tag them on it and then you can pull them in, like now they see who's actually talking, then you can send them followers. Right. And it's all about like reciprocation. And I've never thought about giving as much until I met Mark. Yeah. But like, how can I give them more? And my number one question is like, and I try to not ask it as a burden, but at the end of my most phone calls, I'm like, how can I help you make more money? It's like my number one question I'm always trying to ask people.
Good question.
Like, how can I help you make more money? Or like, who do I need to connect you with? Right. Yeah. And then generally I'm not asking ever for anything, but so the perfect example of this, I met a dude who was, a CTO of a company that just got valued at $300 million. And it was in an e-commerce software. And I was like, hey, and I had to speak at a mastermind. I was talking to him. He told me what he did. I was like, bro, I got to connect you with my boy. Him and his partner have the largest e-commerce mastermind in the country. And his partner's doing a couple $100 million in revenue. I think it'll be a great connection for you. This is like 2 minutes into our conversation. And I'm sending them a group chat and I'm putting him in a business relationship that I know he's going to fucking crush with. But that's like automatically delivering with value out the gate. Like, how can I help you? Like, oh, bro, and like you can hear their problems, right? You always have an ear out for someone's problem. So you can like, oh, bro, you know what? Like I'm always just random group chats. I don't even, people like say you gotta be professional with it. I'm like, hey, bro, this dude's getting fucked by this. Hey, I know you can help him with it. Here's like a context of the issue. And then they both know me, so they know I have good intentions with it, and I just let them take it from there. And then if that connection bears fruit for them, awesome. If it doesn't, I'm sorry, but then at least they have a connection.
Yeah, the connection and doing a group message is a great way to do it. But, you know, like Mark does it. Mark connects people with all the time, but he's really connecting people who've connected to him. He's not just giving that away. Chris and I, we do it, right? People ask me about financing. If I believe in them, I see what they're doing, I like how they move, I connect them with John Federa. If I don't see that, I'm not going to connect them with them because I don't know how that's going to go. They have to, that's the key. So all these people who want to connect with you and you're connecting, you already have a good feeling on them.
Oh, 100%. Like I'm not just putting random.
No, because it would burn it real quick. Yeah.
It would burn it really quick. And like you have to vet out people.
Yep.
At the same time, but then the people who I don't think are, let's say, qualified enough to connect people with, I mean, I give up my cell phone on all my podcasts. And then most people, like if you're a pain in my ass, I just won't text you back. But like most people, if you have a problem, you're like, hey, Strat, blah, 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 blah. And it's a question and it's concise. I will eventually get, if it takes a week, I'm still going to get back to you. Like, hey, bro, I see that. I'd probably just go do it this way because of this, this, and this. And then I can bring you value. And then I'm not going to connect you with someone else because I probably have the answer already. Unless that other person's just going to make money from a service-based business or something like that.
I'm the same way. If people ask me in a nice way, can I help them with something? I'll give them an answer for sure. Some people will vomit all over your messenger or whatever, right? They just drop a bunch of things that I can't, like they're all over the place. I can't read all that.
Bro, I can't read it. I just tell them like, bro,
yeah, I almost
very concise. Yeah, very concise. I can handle if it's concise. I don't need context behind it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So let me ask you this: what can we do for you since we're on that subject? How I know increasing someone else's following is always a great benefit. So tell us your social media handles, the best place to get in touch with you, and then maybe it's this event. Maybe you want to support this event. You got a link that we can stick in the comments for people to plug into it.
Do I have that link? Let me go to Facebook real quick. Best place to follow me is on Instagram at StratDaddy. My cell phone number is 801-860-8032. Shoot me a text if you're looking to hire on a virtual assistant, need help with ERC or anything else like that. Again, I love talking to people. If you're wasting my time, I probably just won't text you back, and then you should probably evaluate how you were talking to me.
Love it.
And then
your event. What's the dates on your event you're hosting?
Let me see here. Pull it up on Facebook. Our event is May 13th.
Where's that at?
In Fresno, California. Let me put the link in our private chat. Before we go, I have one question for you guys. I sent the link in our private chat for you guys, and that's on May 13th. It's recession domination. How you can really thrive in a recession. I mean, because it's here, bro. Don't listen to the fucking news.
Yeah.
Because they're telling you like, oh, it's not quite here yet. Somehow the term of a recession changed. Bro, it's here. You need to be doing things different in business. I mean, if I would have taken it seriously, let's say 6 months ago, in one of our companies, and you guys would get this, a bunch of people out of business and they owe us $50,000, and I'm shit out of luck with my thumb in my ass, you know? And so like if I would approach things differently that way, we would have had $50,000 more. But so with new people coming in thinking they can buy businesses, following you guys and like Kyle Milan on the internet, I feel like they're gonna crash and burn because they don't know shit about business, and they're going in thinking they're gonna go buy a business owner finance. Maybe they walk themselves into a good deal, but then they still got to, you still got to operate that thing.
Absolutely, it's the hardest part. So that's not the sexy part. So Chris and I, we always tell people, anytime I've had phone calls, it seems like I have it with people and they just think the destination is find a good deal and get it. And it will all just find out. I had a guy say, yeah, I'll just get an operator. Bro, that's not
like, I wish it was that easy. Yeah.
No, it's not going to work. I said, I'm operating shit 30 years later. So you're going to figure that out in 6 months. So I would say few things. If you think you're going to leave your job to have an easier job, think again. That's not going to happen. Do not trade a 9 to 5 for a 5 to 9, because that's what's going to happen. So you're going to have to get into it. But if you have this skill set and the work ethic, and you say, I'm going to buy this business and I'm going to secure it, like get in there every day, 6 days, 7 days a week, secure that for 6 to 9 months, start building it up, really scale that over year 2 and 3, you can absolutely do it. But you have to buy recession-proof businesses. You got to know what you're doing. You have to buy a business where you already see the opportunity. You see what they're missing. I don't buy businesses unless I see what I'm going to do with it before I write the check. Too many. If you think you're going to buy a business and then just sit back and the guy was making 600,000 and you're going to make 600, you're going to lose a bunch of clients. It's not going to work. So get ready to work. Have a really good plan to scale, and then you have to execute. If you do those things and it's recession proof, you can do great. But if you, Chris, I think you agree with all those things.
Yeah, my whole philosophy behind why, first of all, revenue solves most problems, right?
Yep.
The bigger I've gotten in business, the more revenue I've gotten, the more opportunity, and the easier I could handle problems. It really does. And I hate to shrink it down to money, but I mean, we live in an economy that works off of money. And if you don't have it, it makes it very difficult. It takes a lot more time, a lot more effort, and you still find big restrictions. So whether you're coming from a small business, thinking about doing a startup, you're a W-2 employee, whatever, wherever your destination is right now, we want you to get into a business, not to not have to work, but so that you already have cash flow. You have the money that you can solve the problems with. It's still going to take the work. And I think you're bringing up a great point, because the operations is whether you're going to be successful or not. It doesn't matter if you're talking about real estate or if you're talking about business. But I do believe that if you've got the gumption to get in there, you're going to figure it out. And then you keep yourself around resources. You got people to ask, hey, what am I doing? I don't have any customers coming in, or I'm having trouble hiring, or, the quality's dropping. These are real simple things to fix if you can speak to someone that's already walked that path. So it's not like only certain people are capable of running a business on the operations side. It's, are you willing to put the work in? If you're willing to put the work in and you're not thinking this is going to be, I buy a business and I go on vacation, but I buy a business to increase my income so that I can solve problems easier, then you're going to be very successful at buying a business.
Yeah. I totally agree. And then you got to get around people who are doing it. This might sound like shameless promotion, but I mean, you get in our group, we're talking about it every week for an hour.
You have to.
If somebody, it's $500 a month. Some people think that's a lot. I look at that as $6,000 a year. If you don't want to invest $6,000 a year to talk to 3 experts at all these things, operations, buying business, Mark Evans in there. I mean, for $6,000, are you really going to buy a business for $1 million? No. You're not going to.
No. It's going to
that's when people say, oh, you spend this much money on a mastermind. It's not a cost investment. If I want to buy, when I got in Tim Brotz's thing, I said, I want to buy millions of dollars worth of multifamily. So I paid $24,000 to get in that. Yeah. And that's what I started doing. I started buying them.
Right. Well, and you're in the room.
Could I figure it out? Of course I could. Will I make a lot more than $24,000 by being around all those people? There's no question. It already happened.
Yeah.
And that was only 4 years ago. What's it going to look like in 10 years? That's how I look at it. You got to get around people. There's not really books. It doesn't have to be us. It could be Kyle Millian. He does great stuff.
Absolutely.
He's a great guy. People learn getting his courses. There's Roland Frazier buys all kinds of business. You can get in that, but you got to be around people.
I think the biggest thing that I love about the DM family is I will make a lot of money this year, but then I still don't think it's a lot of money. Right. Yep. So I'm like, yeah, we'll only make X amount of dollars. Everyone else in my world, and it'll be hopefully in the 7-figure plus range. Like that's where we're on track for.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, damn. But then I got you, I got Mark Andrew, I got Mark, like I got Austin, everyone else who I'm talking to on a weekly basis. I'm like, Jesus Christ, bro, like you got to pick it up. right? And then it expands what you even think is good. Like now I'm just not satisfied with where I'm at to where other people are satisfied, and being in that room and you see, well, they just did a 3 deal to where they got no money down, blah, blah, blah. And like they get a killer deal and it shoots off X amount of cash flow. Even just exposing you like that, like how we said at the beginning, I think is massive in and of itself.
Yeah, and I want to add to this because some people might be listening to that comment right there and be like, man, y'all are just greedy. Like, when is enough?
Oh, bullshit.
When you've got surplus, when you've got abundance, and this is not to brag, but I just want to, and I'm like you, Strat. I get around folks like Kevin. Kevin's much further than I am down the road at this point. And it pushes me to do more, but I get to change lives. Like I'm able to help someone get into a home when they weren't able to get into a home, and give them a cushion, give them a bridge into the next portion of their life. I'm able to help individuals get into vehicles that they normally wouldn't have gotten into, give company vehicles to some of my employees to drive as personal vehicles, brand new vehicles. This changes their psychological thinking, the way they see things. It makes them feel more confident because they're in a brand. These are the things you get to do when you've got surplus. When you're making just enough for you, then it's just enough for you. This is why we constantly push and say it ain't enough. Outside of the fact that we need, for us to be satisfied, we need to be growing and building something. I do believe that's what motivates us. That's what gives us satisfaction, is when we see that we have put our effort, grew something, and made it better. But on top of that, we're able to influence the world in a positive way when you've got abundance. It's not a greed thing. I mean, the people we hang out with are changing the world out of the abundance that we collect.
Well, how can you make more millionaires, and like how can you actually change people's lives? Like with virtual assistants wise, right? If they have a family of 5 times 3 meals a day, what is that? That's 15 meals a day. No. Yeah. 15 meals a day. I'm shit at math. But you're responsible for that many meals with one person, right? And you're changing lives with that, right? Like you're creating jobs. I mean, even donating to charities that you care about. Like I love Operation Underground Railroad, and that's where I donate a lot of money. Yeah. But I'm passionate about that shit. Like I cry like every time like I would go to their webpage and just think about like the atrocities. Like I got a kid. Right. And like you cannot make impacts if it's just you. Like, yeah, you can say like, well, I go serve down at the homeless shelter. But like, how could you amplify that by 30?
Right.
Right. Like, how could you really go and like make a change that way? Like toward then there really isn't ever enough, because you could always give more.
That's it.
You look at Blue Collar Millionaire, and the reason I wanted to do this, I had been helping blue collar guys for like a decade or more. But I really want people to get where Chris and I are, faster, with less pain, more time with their families. When I look at it, like I missed out on a lot of shit in life because I was working and learning and banging my head against the wall and trying to figure it out. I've had back surgery. That was because of lifting heavy ass green landscaping garbage cans day after day. I mean, my back was like frying, but what are you going to do? You got to get it in the truck. Yeah. So you do it, and then you just get through it. I want guys to like think more. How do we create blue collar millionaires who then create more? Trades aren't going anywhere. AI, all that technology, it's here. You can make millions of dollars and have an incredible life. If I look at my life now and I look back 25 years ago, I never thought it was going to be like this. I could just go on vacation, bring everybody, do whatever the hell I want. And that's because, and I want other people to be able to experience that. And not when they're 50. I want them to experience when they're 33, 27.
Absolutely, man.
Not 50. I missed it. So, Strat, thanks so much for coming on.
Hell yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me on. What's on Hex Key and Kyle Miller?
Yeah, he's on. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
See you later, man.
So much.